I had such a listen. Hello, beautiful people. How are you? He said, babe, don't you need to go live? Ask them to grab the other phone from downstairs.
Which one?
The Odyssey.
None of them are in the house.
Hello. We're going to just give a couple of minutes for people to come in. We are trying to get all fancy, y'all. We using some new equipment, so hopefully you can hear us, you can see us. Okay, at least I can see the people who are joining. Okay, there's Sue, so it's working. Now I just need to make sure that I can see the comments. Okie dokie artichoke. Okay, here we go. Hi guys, how you doing? I'm going to let Mr. Gary chat with you a little bit, or maybe I can chat with you while he figures this out. We're using StreamYard Live. There we go. Hi! I was like, where are my beautiful people? Hey, how are you, Bobby? Greetings. Oh, it's been a long week. I think I look a little tattered, but that's okay. We've been doing a lot of great work, and we are super, super excited. We got to do one of our first. Hi, hello. We are originally from Maryland, actually. Where are you? Where are you messaging us from? Oh my goodness. We got to do one of our first tourist interviews, our tour guide sessions. If you guys saw on our community board, we got to meet up at Beautiful News Cafe, and the food was actually awesome. Mm-hmm. It was our first time visiting. We hadn't actually heard of it before, but it's a new favorite spot. From what I hear, it's kind of really. Hello, Will from Miami. Hi.
Hello, Will.
Hi, Beauty. We literally we heard it's kind of more of a maybe like a party vibe in the evening. So I was like, that's nice. Maybe Mr. Gary and I can get out and have some adult time, because we're always with the children. We're always with the children. So today we want to talk about visas and residency. That's the discussion we want to have, because we were evaluating everything, and sometimes we do the videos and morning and we don't get to explain, you know where it is, explain as much as we would like in the video, so it's not too long, and then also you're answering questions and you might miss the mark. So what we wanted to use this particular live stream to talk about and dive into is the different types of visas, and kind of share our experience for those that are joining who want to ask specific questions, or if you're watching later, we'll make sure that the live stream, the comments will play, the chat, but also we'll make sure that you can easily connect with us, of course, on Instagram, the Elisa Gary, TheElisagary. Also on Twitter, and you can always hit me in my DMs on Instagram. Also send emails to theelisagary@gmail.com. And you can also look at our newest blog on journeytoza.com. That's journeytoza.com. And if this is your first time visiting, ZA is kind of the .com version that's used here in South Africa. And of course, like, share, subscribe. That's how others get to hear our message. And yeah, so visas, that was fun. What was your first experience, Mr. Gary? For those of you, this is your first time visiting. This is the infamous silent cat, Mr. Gary, but he's getting better, right, guys? Hey, Fish from Texas, how are you?
How's it going, Fish?
Hello. Is it Imoko? Am I saying that right? Hi, Claudia. You made the live. Yay. This is a good one for you. I'm glad you made this one. Yes. Hey, Curtis. So what was your first experience dealing with the visa? Are you talking about
applying for the visa or actually having the visas?
Applying.
Oh, okay. Well, when we was applying, my first experience was horrible. Because...
Well, no, not necessarily dealing with the embassy, but more so dealing with the paperwork. Let's talk about the paperwork. To me, the paperwork wasn't too bad.
No, the paperwork wasn't bad at all, honestly.
I know one of the things that is really important is organization. I cannot stress how important it is to be organized.
Especially when applying.
Because here's the thing. We've talked about this before. Administration is not always as fluid as you would like it to be. But,
okay, Claudia.
But one of the things that is definitely not always as comforting is that with South Africa, how things is positioned, where information is given, it's really common to not have everything in one place, or sometimes things are put and it's like that's everything, and then you'll miss something, and it's not necessarily because you weren't looking, it's just somewhere else. That's probably one of the things that was the most frustrating. Now, what I will say is that with the website, Department of Home Affairs, DHA, it was pretty straightforward. Let me actually, can you put the website in the comments for people?
What is it?
It was actually, it's the DHA .co.za, I believe it is. If you Google South African visa, or even just Department of Home Affairs, South Africa. Oh, thank you, love. You'll definitely be able to come right on it, but I want to put the direct, it's dha.gov.za. I was right. Yeah.
Make sure it's the right one.
No, that's right. I'm looking at it. DHA.
No, I'm just copying all that.
Oh, okay. He gonna put the actual link. That's awesome. So if you go there and on the left-hand side, it's going to be a link that says visas, just literally visas. Like, I don't know if you can see this. This is the mobile version, but this is what it looks like. Click on menu and then go to visas. If you're on a what do you call it, a phone, then you may have to go to immigration first, and then you'll see that it says types of visas down here. You want to hit types of visas. Now, what I will say is that this site is quite thorough in the types of visas. So you have what's called a a visitor's visa. Now let's start at the beginning. If you are at least in the US, I'm not as well versed in like Great Britain and places like that because I'm not from there, unfortunately. If you reach out to me and you're having trouble and you ask me, Elisa, can you help me figure this out? By all means, I will help you. I'm just more well versed from the US side because that's where we came from. So to come to South Africa, you can come with a US passport for up to 90 days without a visa. So that means you have your blue passport. It's all good to go. You need to make sure that you have enough pages to be stamped in the back of your book for your entry and entry and exit from the country. And you need to make sure that your passport is not going to expire within, I believe it's 30 days of your arrival. That's it. Make sure that you have all of your of course now your COVID-19 testing, and that's something else that I'm going to share a little bit about in terms of COVID-19 testing and what that experience was like. Thank you guys. Oh, she's our hype man today. Like and share. Yes, guys, please, thank you. Like and share. That helps other people to see the content. And even if you can't stay the entire time, that helps us as well as helps others. But make sure that's all you need to have. Right now, because of COVID-19, when we were coming in October, you need to have a special letter from DHA in order to visit, saying you were coming for business. It's on level 1 lockdown right now, so that's not required. So tourist travel is allowed, but you will have to have a negative COVID-19 test, and the most required one, just the safest, is the PCR test. So it's not the rapid 15-minute test, or I believe they will take the antigen one, the one where they check to see if you've had it before. The problem with that test, though, is it usually takes longer than, say, 24 to 48 hours. So if you are traveling, you need to make sure you get a PCR test. We took the test both in Arizona and we've taken it in Maryland. So, and now my husband has to do some travel at some point soon to go to the States. So we also took it here. And I'm so happy to report, Claudia, that was not hard at all. It cost you around $70 to $80 US, but it was not hard at all. We literally spazzed and forgot. For some reason, I was thinking he had a flight on like a Thursday. He had it on a Wednesday. It was like 1:00 in the afternoon, and hit some resources up like, hey, where does he need to go? It was one like a lot of places, actually. It wasn't hard to get the test, maybe because it's paid. I don't know. But I do know in the States, there's a lot of people that doesn't mind paying, and they're still having a hard time getting a test. So I was really happy to see that. It was about, like I said, 850 Rand, so give or take 70 to 80 US, and got it done. And actually by the next morning before noon, results was had. So that was awesome, because you need to have your results within, I believe it's 32 hours. Each airline is different, so you do need to check that. So why am I saying this? Because in the process of visa applying, it is so cumbersome sometimes, the small things you will forget. So you spend all this time doing stuff. Imagine spending months, and then it dawns on you, oh my God, I didn't get a COVID test. Now you're trying to figure out, who's doing the correct type of test? How long is the wait? Are you going to be able to get it back in time? And I know when we were leaving, it was 7 of us. So we literally took the test 3 times, because the first place we went to would have given it to us in enough time. But for some reason, it was just about 3 hours outside of the time frame, the time frame that it's supposed to be valid. And I was like, we can't get to the airport and somebody decides to be a little bit anal and they're like, no, it doesn't work. So we wind up all 7 of us again having to go to the same place, but we actually went somewhere else because that hospital wasn't having any, they weren't having any COVID testing for another day. So we went somewhere else to get it done. And then that place, it wasn't even, they sent us half the people and not the other half of our results. So we wind up, just for safe measure, to go to Hazley, to go back to the original place that we had used when we came to visit before. And this time we got everybody's, because theirs usually came within 24 hours. So usually the way that process goes is you give them your information. I know in the States we didn't have to pay both of those times. It was free. It was sponsored by the state or something like that. You can look online and it tells you different locations. So by all means, again, it may seem like, what does this have to do with visas? I'm telling you this at the beginning because it's one of those things that you can get inundated with, and it's just the way of life right now. And it seems like it's going to be like that for a while. Make sure that you do your research and you figure out where you're going to go and be watching. Depending on what area, hey Julie, depending on what area you're in, there may be more availability or less. If you're more populated, I know we were in Maryland near DC, and literally, no. It was like some places was booked up for weeks. So make sure that you go in. We made sure we made an appointment at a local place that charged, just to make sure we had an appointment at the 9th hour. But we also researched and went to places like I know in Maryland, down at University of Maryland, down on Light Street, the hospital had a big open forum, social distancing table set where they did the PCR test. And it's not as bad as you think.
The convention center.
I think you did one in Arizona. Did you do one in Arizona before you left? Or you were supposed to, and then it was going to be outside of the time frame. So you had to do it there. So we actually only did it in Maryland. But it's very important that you look up your airline, contact them. If by all means you're not seeing it in writing
just
on their site,
talk to at least 2 representatives on different phone calls just to make sure.
Right. Go to the airport. Go to the airport and find out. Because hi love, how are you? Because listen, we just had a brother from Durban coming back from Pennsylvania on the East Coast. And his flight got delayed 3 different times because one, his test results was the wrong type of test. He got the rapid test instead of the PCR test. And it takes the same amount of time to do the test. It's just how quickly they give you the result and what they're looking for, or the culture, right? The second time, or the first time, it was outside of the time frame. The second time, it was the wrong type of test. And then the third time, he finally, he was able to make it. So I don't want that to happen to you. Please, by all means, take your time and make sure you do your due diligence and you check that. Now, when we came in October, we didn't have to have, which was odd. Maybe they just didn't ask us. We flew with
probably
Qatar
the restrictions
Air.
wasn't as bad.
Well, yeah, it was because they were in lockdown, right? Well, not as bad in October. So when we left to go back to the States in October, we didn't have to have a COVID test to return to the U.S. But when we got to Qatar, we weren't able to go out. We had to stay secluded. But now it's pretty safe to say if you're going somewhere, just have the test. If you have to pay the money, put it into your budget. I know in the States was a little different. Like paying $80 to get that test wasn't bad over here, because in the States it was running $250, sometimes $300 to $400, unfortunately. So my best bet is to tell you, do your research and find one of these places that the states are sponsoring to have them, because they do want to keep people getting tested regularly. So with all that said, please don't forget that. Why are you guys immigrating to South Africa? We actually answered that in one of our previous videos. I want to say our second one, which is our first live stream. But it was time for another pot, and we wanted to move outside of the U.S. and visits to South Africa. It really touched our hearts. It felt like home. And now we are, as of December, we're here. Hopefully that answers your questions. What would you advise South African officials to make immigration here easier and efficient for immigrants, expats such as yourselves? I'm going to actually touch on that, because that's the part that Mr. Gary was talking about. But as far as the paperwork is pretty cut and dry. Now, the types of visas are, there's a visitor visa. So that's if you're not trying to be here, living, but you want to be here longer than the 90 days, then you have to get a visitor's visa. But then there's also the, the study visa. So if you're going to school, there is the temporary residence visa. So things like the critical skills visa, that's a temporary residence visa. If you can also get a medical visa. So if you're coming to have some sort of medical work done or procedure performed, there's the, spousal visa. So you're getting, married, or what have you. And then I want to make sure I call it the actual, visa of medical treatment, visa for working in the entertainment industry, conference visas. So there are visas you're coming specifically for a conference, treaties. There's something called a, general work visa. So a general work visa is only to foreigners when South African citizens with the relevant skills are not available. So if you remember, we talked about this. So Mr. Gary, you came on accompaniment visa, right? He came on an accompaniment visa. So what that means is that he could have applied for the general work visa, but the thing that the government does to protect the citizens of South Africa from jobs just disappearing is they will not just generally assign a work visa to just anyone. It's not that it can't happen, but that's just not what they do. And you truly get the feel when you go into the ministerial office or the embassy in the States that you're going to have to prove even that you have that critical skill. You're not just going to walk in there and just throw some paperwork together and get it. That's not going to happen. They're going to do due diligence, and it's a lot that you have to go through. So you want to make sure that if you're trying to come, know that there may be some difficulty doing a work visa. Now, if I did a critical skills visa is a visa saying that you fall on the country's list of occupations that says they are having trouble filling those positions within the country. Okay, so there is, let me get you that. I'm gonna actually get you that list. I want to post it. Actually, what I'll do is I'll post those links under the replay underneath of the video so you can go right to them. It gives you each one of those areas. So whether it's engineering, business, of course, IT, if you're in IT, you can definitely find a job in South Africa, a career, not just a job, because that means just over broke, and nobody wants to be just over broke. But you can definitely apply. That's a whole nother segment, which I'll try to touch base on. But you absolutely can get for your spouse and children an accompaniment visa, meaning they're coming with you, because you are having the access. Now, the reason why we specifically didn't apply for the general work visa, because one, we had the idea for, okay, I'll get to that. I'll touch base on that as well. The reason we didn't do that is because we were working with such a short time frame. We knew that we wanted to be here in December because the children were supposed to start school the second week of January. So we wanted to have that buffer time for them to kind of relax and settle in a little bit before jumping straight into school. And it was important for us to start them at the first day with everybody else. So we opted from doing the general work visa, one, because no. Two, we already knew that we were considering, as we shared in the last video, starting the school and the hairline. At some point, we would be opening business here to create jobs. So our plan is that I would come on critical skill visa, but we knew that we would be probably opening a business venture here. And then you can apply for what's called a business visa. Now, we could have done the business visa first, but there's lots of reporting and income and everything else that you have to show that you can sustain it and what have you, as well as things that you have agreed to that you have to agree to, that if you have not actually been in the country a while yet, you may not fully understand. So I didn't think that was wise. No. He didn't like that idea either. And we wanted to be a part of that step every step of the way. So we opted to do the critical skills visa for myself, the accompaniment visa for him, and then the children had to each have a study visa, even down to the youngest one, because they were attending school. And that process in itself is also quite cumbersome. So when you go into that page on DHA and you click on the different types of visa, especially critical skills and study visa, make sure that little check down box that comes up, it tells you everything that you need to have. What I literally did was printed out that paper. I made a folder. I got pocket protectors, and every single thing I marked it off as I was doing it, even down to the envelope that you have to send them that's postmarked, because that's what they're going to use to send you your documents back from the consulate. So make sure that if it says you need to have things notarized, take the time. It's going to cost you some funds. Take some time, go somewhere, make sure that you look at their stamp, see how long that they're going to be, their stamp is valid. Make sure if their stamp is getting ready to expire, go somewhere else, because you need to make sure that their stamp is going to be valid. Their notary stamp is valid through the end of the time that you're going to arrive in the country. The technicality is like, well, it was valid when I went, but it's just one of those things that the people are very diligent. Mm-hmm. They looked at everything, okay? You almost can feel like a criminal almost, but they look at everything. And speaking of that, you do have to get your background
check.
So I think they had us do, it was 12 months. You had to do any country that you lived in for more than 12 months, you had to provide a background check. So in the US, that was a federal background check. And if you go and you look at our video of how to receive a critical skills visa or your South African critical skills visa, we talk about that in detail. So I don't want to go too in depth with the critical skills visa. If you have questions, I will answer them and we can even connect, later. But I do have that video that talks about that. It tells you the services that we use for the US to get our background check, how long it took, how much it costs, all the forms you need to fill out. You also have to do things like having your foreign awards or your diplomas evaluated for a critical skills visa. So make sure that you can go there and get some information for lack of making this particular live too long. But I said all that to say, with the study visa and the critical skills visa, there is a lot of paperwork and you must be organized and don't wait to the last minute. I truly believe that God wanted us to be here because we didn't even start this process until mid-October. Mm-hmm. And even though we the beginning of October, mid-September, and we didn't even get our appointment to go to submit our documents until after we came back from South Africa mid-October. Mm-hmm. So we got our things by the skin of your teeth. Now, Mr. Gary can talk. Mr. Gary can talk about that situation, but I want to answer this question. How would we advise South African officials to make immigration here easier? Make things a little bit more streamlined, definitely. Have everything in one place. The other thing is in America, for the most part, business hours is this time to this time. Around lunch, or if it's on Friday or what have you, people may not answer the phone. But here's the thing. Please answer your phones. Please answer emails. If you're not going to answer the phone, at least have someone that's diligent in answering emails. I will have to say the kind of laissez-faire culture of I get to it when I get to it was very prevalent in regards to this process. You also had to, which I didn't think was a bad thing, but you had to show that you weren't a burden. You would not be a burden on the country by coming. So we did have to provide bank statements showing that we could take care of ourselves and our children. Again, you can see that information. I don't want to quote it incorrectly, but I think it was like an equivalent of you needed to be making about, was it close to 2,000 US dollars? Say it again. Was it 2K? I don't want to say the wrong amount. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry. 1,800 maybe. But you do have to show that you could sustain your family or yourself while you are here. You also had to get a medical and a radiological test. The medical test basically saying you are in sound heart or mind. The part that I really didn't like about that part is you may have some people, especially if you're a veteran, maybe you dealt with PTSD or bipolarism or whatever. So that could feel a little evasive that you have to document that or put that, but you do need to go and see your doctor. It needs to be a medical form filled out. And then for the radiological form, you need to have a chest x-ray done and signed by the radiologist and stamped. So on their specific form that's there saying that you don't have tuberculosis. So those are things that, again, you need to make sure that you plan for. It doesn't have a time frame of when it can be done, but get it done, knock it out early, especially if you're maybe still working or doing overtime to save up for your trip. These are things that you have to have more so for temporary or permanent residence visas. For the business and study visas, let's do the critical skills visa. You will get a question about that. Okay, go ahead. I am a software automation QA engineer, and I'm not sure if it's one of the skill set required for one to apply for a critical visa to South Africa, I'll probably visit for sometime in August. Okay, Fish, please connect with us through Instagram or either send an email. The Instagram is thealisagary@gmail. Or send, I'm sorry, thealisagary, and then the email address is thealisagary@gmail.com. There is a list, the most recent, they actually submitted the most recent report right around October that has everything. And then there's also a new report that was done by an independent agency that shows all of the different categories that's listed on the new critical skills list. And it shows the trajectory of both positive and negative of how that industry was impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic and how quickly or slow they are anticipating that particular industry to respond to everything that's happened. I definitely want to make sure I get you that information and we can talk one-on-one about it. You also would need to start looking into your professional body. So for a critical skills visa, in addition to having SAQA or SACA review your documents, you also have to have your join a professional body. And what that basically means is that this is one of the organizations that kind of helps regulate the members that participate in that skill within the country, almost as accountability. I don't know that particular skill right offhand, but I'm happy to do some legwork to look into that for you. I just had someone, an engineer last week, messaged me on Instagram asking, and I was able to kind of do some legwork and ask some questions and get him at least two. Doesn't mean that's the one you should go with, but definitely can you go up at vision? No, go up some more. So go up. Click on each one. To have a destination area, just go here, Will John. My advice is to have a destination area just for Americans to process at the airport to make it easy for customs. Really, Will? I haven't had that trouble. He said he had an hour to get through customs. We've been through at least 5 times, and even during COVID, it wasn't really that long of a wait. Now, I don't know what was going on when you initially went through, and we came through both before. I want to do each one before the COVID-19 kind of everything broke, and after. It wasn't as long. The airport can be a little bit not too confusing, but if you haven't been there before, it's kind of good to have somebody to show you how to work around. There's a one area that you come through, and then you process through, you think you're done, you go through another area. So that part can be a little confusing, but it wasn't too difficult. No, I don't think. Hello, Prince from Pretoria. Thank you for money. I appreciate it. As far as, in addition, the South African officials, what I would like to see is more interaction in terms of language with those that you're seeking to call from abroad, in the diaspora, or what have you. Not just, listen, if you have a critical skill, I don't care where you came from. The country can use it, and they're saying that these jobs are available. So definitely make it where these people can see the opportunity. The other thing is, maybe there could be an office that specifically assists with those transitions. Now, here's the thing, the government per se doesn't do that, but there are transition experts, counselors, companies that specifically deal with helping those that are trying, or immigration lawyers as well, that are trying to come. Maybe we're crazy, we didn't use those people. We just kind of, well, I think it was also because a lot of people were just shut down and it was middle of COVID and we just had to figure it out. But we learned a lot. And so now, right. So now we get to share what we learned with other people, right? I mean, that's the good thing about it. For the retirement visa L, here's the difference. Study visa, you have to apply each year and you have to prove that you're studying, have the paperwork stamped, show your schedule, fees are paid or whatever initial fees, and get a letter, and then you submit that to them with the application. The reason why we're offering things like the virtual school tours and things like that is because, and then also the home tours, is because if you're coming on one of these temporary or resident visas, so like the critical skills, the student visa, even retirement visa, you need to show where you're staying, or you have to have somebody that's going to sponsor you, and you have to have a copy of their ID, their government ID, and their address and contact number, and they will contact them. With the critical skills visa, they give you up to 1 year initially. If you do not have a job already lined up for you to come to the country, find a job. Once you do, you then have to take that information back to DHA. They'll reissue, and it's based solely with the company that you say you're working with. And they have to give you a letter showing that what your offer is, what you're making, all that jazz. If you are doing, if you have a secured position, then they have to give you that same information, but they have to give that to you prior to you getting your visa. And that information will depict how long you can stay. So it's supposed to be, it can be up to 5 years. If you've worked in that area before, if they say it's a 2-year contract or what have you, then it'll be 2 years. It can be up to 5 years, and then you can apply for permanent residency. With what do you call it? A retirement visa, I believe they give you, is it 3 years automatically? And again, you can, let me go to it right now. You can go, we could have done that visa right off the bat. You literally just have to pay to play, show your documents, say that, showing that you're able to take care of yourself, do all your medical stuff, make sure your passport and everything is in order, and you're good to go. That's really all it takes for a retirement visa. That link that Mr. Gary gave you has that information. Just go to types of visas and choose, I want to say it's right under corporate visas. What is a study? Hold on, give me 1 second. Retirement visas. So you can have, it's for persons who wish to retire in South Africa, providing that such persons comply with financial requirements provided by the Immigration Act of 2002. So that there is a prompt there directly opening that. Your passport has to be valid for at least 30 days after expiration of the intended visit. You need 1 free page, and the minimum payment to a foreigner shall be per month, 37,000 Rand. So that's about what right now? At about 14.7, let's say 14, let's say 15. So that's roughly $2,466 per month on average that you need to be coming in. So if you are a soldier, you were a soldier, retired Army, you have a pension, what have you, you basically just need to show you're making roughly 37,000 Rand a month. And you can do that with your bank statement. It says also a minimum prescribed net worth of 37,000. A police clearance certificate, which is your background check. And then the spouse, independent children accompanying the holder of the retired person visa may be issued with an appropriate visa as well. So pretty much everything is the same, except there's those additional caveats depending on which one you're applying for. Did you go to the U.S. consulate in Santon? We didn't have to use the consulate. We did everything from the States. So we went to the office in D.C. Now, What would you say about the experience in DC?
It was fun.
Lies.
Yeah, no, all right, it was a little nerve wracking, if you will. Uh, the lack of communication, the you ever have a moment where someone is in a position where they feel they almost playing God, if you will, with your life because they can say yes or no um, to approving you to do anything far as going anywhere. Like, say for instance, you go online southwest.com and you about to put in your information. You got the information, you got your money, you got everything ready to go, and online says, "Oh no, you can't do it right now. You got to wait. Wait till tomorrow."
But I don't think it was so much that. I think I was so excited about the process. I think that situation was a little bit of, I'm sorry, xenophobia, because it seemed like, you know, I've shared with you guys, and that was like my first experience with that when I first went in. From looks, I looked like I was someone from born and raised from the African nations and not just in the diaspora. When I began speaking it was kind of this, I hate feeling like that or saying that because I don't use it lightly, but there was the gentleman now I now know was Afrikaans. And it was just almost like this barrier, like it was almost like he was doing things intentionally to tell us to come later than the time he knew we needed to be there to do something, almost or like trying to sabotage you. To sabotage it, right? And because I was so diligent and all the time was dedicated to it, and thank God we were in Maryland and we're applying in DC versus because so that's an important thing to mention. Depending on where you're applying, what state you're living in, that determines what office you have to apply to. So if we would have been in Arizona, we would have had to be applying through the LA office or the California office. We were in Maryland, so we needed to apply in the DC office, and then there's one in New York, So each sector of the country is divided. And again, you can get that on the DHA site. It's literally, I don't know if you can see it on the main page, but you can see it if you're on a desktop, and it's kind of on the right hand side, and it'll say each office, and below it it'll say this state, this state, this state, this state. So make sure you're mindful of that. But this, between the supervisor of the office and whoever this was that worked at the desk, I don't know what the problem was, but it could have been very discouraging. And if you didn't really want to do it, you could have just threw your hands up and like, why would I want to go there? Why would I want to deal with this? And even to the extent, one time the lady, it was almost like she wanted me to bow down to her because she could say yay or nay. It even goes back to what you guys informed us about, the culture of if someone is talking to you, they pretty much address the male first. They communicate with the male first before they say anything to the woman. That's pretty much how it was, the way she was. Now that you guys informed us of this, now that we kind of understand why she was. But it was more than that. It wasn't like that was something else. But I mean, the overall process, we definitely did experience. It was unfortunate because if you haven't been to the country, you haven't interacted with people, it was very easy to walk away from it. Like, why would I want to go there if I'm going to be treated like this and I haven't even gotten there? But that was not the case, and we knew that. It was just whatever your issue was. So don't be discouraged, especially if you go to the DC office. Connect with me. I'll speak with you personally about that office. But yes, I remember years ago there used to be an African American South African forum that former President Thabo Mbeki's brother used to be part of. I think it's needed a revive to lobby the government. Really, I need to take a screenshot of that. I need to look that up.
Okay.
I know, was it Law Abiding Citizen that gave me some information about a talk that happened? It was Caribbeaners and maybe that's what you're talking about. It was African Americans and Caribbeaners that came and had a discussion about different things in regards to growth of the country and others coming here. I think someone told me Google that, and I actually looked at it. It was awesome, but it was only a small section of that talk, and I wish I could have seen it in its entirety, but it was awesome. Let's see. Yes, you're correct. Last time I looked, it was at least $22.50 monthly income for retirement visa. That was about a month ago. And just to give you an idea, Elle, if you're coming by yourself, you can more than live on that. You can make it work. Mm-hmm. If you're coming as a family, even with a family of 7, our like bottom line expenses, let's see, about 31, 24. Living expenses about 40,000, 45,000 rand, give or take. Now we also have all of our children in private school. So that's about 55 to 60,000 rand, if you will. And if you watched our market video, you can kind of see what's happening there. So if a family of 7 can live regularly, and then there's the car. So maybe about 75, 80,000 rand, because we have our car hire, and then we have our rental expenses and fiber and all of those types of things. But you can find places to live that are really nice with about a good $1,000 to $1,500 a month. Is there a language barrier in SA? If so, what language would you recommend learning? I'm planning on relocating to the continent, and SA on the list, but because of my work, language would be vital. What's your work? But you want to answer that one? Is there a language barrier?
I don't think there's a language barrier. I'm also I wouldn't say it was a language barrier. Sometimes it is, depending on where you at. Like, say you go to, I don't know, one of these little on the side of the road type vendors where they only speak Zulu or Xhosa. That would be a good thing to have to learn, but it's not necessarily needed. I mean, you can bypass a lot of things by speaking English or preferably English, because
English is the language of business.
Not necessarily.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. English is so English is what they use in the schools and for business, like in companies.
Well, a lot of them speak Afrikaans, so.
A lot do, but business English is the official language of business in the country. So if I'm answering your question correctly, if you speak English, you can get by. It's not like we were going to move to Portugal. That was going to be really difficult, and I'm glad now in hindsight we didn't, because that would have been very frustrating trying to navigate and figure out things. Now, the thing to understand is South Africa has 11 national languages. You hear you'll hear everybody for the most part speaks English. Can somebody help me, because I'm not going to say all of them right? Please put them in the comments if you like. But you have English, you have Afrikaans, you have Xhosa. I didn't do that right. You have is it Zulu? It's quite a few languages, and but the thing that I've learned is it's kind of like all mixed together. Like, you rarely hear a person speaking one thing. Like, even in us venturing, oh my God, y'all, I stumbled into Showmax, child. Oh my goodness. So somebody was asking me questions about what we thought about some of the series, and I stumbled on Showmax, and very indicative. You'll watch a show and throughout the entire show, it's Shona being spoken English. So it's and if you have foreign ears, you don't know what language is being spoken. So you're like, I don't know if this word is this or that. But the good thing about it is it really doesn't matter, because if you say the word, maybe not 9 out of 10, but 7 to 8 out of 10, the person you're speaking to is going to understand what you're talking about, because it's a melting pot of collective language. So you'll be okay. You'll definitely be okay. And business is usually conducted in English, so you would be all right. Yes. Oh, yay. Okay. Clinton says your software QA or application skills are considered to be scarce. Most corporates have outsourced that function to India due to high number of resources in those parts of the world. So there you go, Fish. I didn't want to speak incorrectly and get your hopes up, but like I said, I've seen, is that in the area of like IT development? I know Amazon has a big hub in Cape Town. Hey, Amazoni. And they are hiring all the time. So definitely look into that, honey. Definitely. Planning to visit Durban this time around and then make a trip to Zimbabwe. Continue. Okay. Will be my first time traveling to another African country. Any recommendations? Just make sure you're mindful of the climate at the time, because South Africa is very stringent. We don't know what's going on with COVID. I know during the span of the year we were visiting, the lockdown level went up, went down, when you could be out, when you couldn't, if you could fly in, if you couldn't. And all of those things could greatly impact how much you can get done and when, meaning maybe you can get those things done, but it requires more time because places are closing earlier. So definitely look into that, or whatever your modes of transportation are. Looking into the flights, because I know when we were coming and going, you had several different airlines, American Airlines, Qatar Air. It was several different airlines that you could get flights into through Europe, coming straight from Atlanta into Joburg or what have you, and like even Delta, but a lot of those flights aren't available. I know looking for flights currently, you can't even get that flight with Delta. I think I saw some talk about them opening them the end of the month maybe, but who knows, right? So definitely make sure you contact and research what's going on in the areas that you're living. Look if there's any capacities in terms of where your lodging is going to be. With Airbnb, one of the things that I will say is, maybe availability. Some people, because things slowed down drastically, some people kind of moved on and they're doing other things, or they've gotten kind of permanent residents, so there may not be as much inventory. So just definitely do your research and look into that. You guys should watch The Real South Africa. We definitely have. Oh God, we don't have one.
We don't have one.
We it's so much to see.
Well, they answered your question. I'm not sure how to pronounce these.
Songa, the Bele Songa. Chatswana, Sotu, Sebede. Okay. Thank you. There we go. English, Afrikaans, Xhosa, Zulu, Ndebele, Venda, Songa, Pedi, Sotho, Tswana. Those are the languages, and you hear a melting pot. It sounds so beautiful, but I'm picking up some words. Listen, I watched the entire first season of Housekeepers in the last 2 days, I want to say. Oh my goodness, I like the storyline. And I was supposed to be looking at the main actress's name. She actually played in another, which I think that's why I wound up looking at it. I saw her. She played the wife in How to Ruin a Christmas, the wedding. And she's a really great actress. I loved it. But overall, the acting was really awesome. I like the transitions. Mr. Gary liked the editing and everything. I really enjoyed that series. I got to the end and I was like, okay, because I was like, oh, it's the end of the series. And then it started playing again. I was like, oh my goodness, this is season 2. Oh my goodness, I was so excited. So thank you for introducing me to Showmax. Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't think it's a language barrier necessarily, but the accent. Yes, South African English reminds me of Jamaican poets or broken English, especially when communicating with the other Blacks I ran into. The other thing is what we call South African lingo. So, for instance, we do a couple South African lingo videos where we try to share words that as we learn them, they mean one thing in English, but they mean something else in to a South African. So we say traffic light, they say robot, right? Mm-hmm. Go to the second robot, make a left. We say armed security or security guard. They say, there's a boom there. Things like a buggy, is a truck, like a pickup truck, or references to things where we say, if we say as an American a pie, we're thinking like a fruit pie, sweet potato, cherry, apple. They say pie, they're thinking kind of like this warm pastry filled thing with either meat or veggies or something. So it's things like that where you say one thing and means something else. But that's, I think, with just anywhere you go somewhere new, there's different ways of things that are said, right? I'm a counseling psychologist, so it would be important to relocate to a country on the continent that has comfortable English skills. It would be harder for me to move to a country that doesn't speak. Did you continue writing? Oh, go here. That doesn't speak English. So if there's a need to learn a new language, it would be important to learn one that is commonplace for my line of work. You can definitely, like I said, if you speak English and you speak it fluently, matter of fact, a lot of companies on their applications, they say, how fluent are you in your English? Are you, proficient or tested, or are you a native speaker? Because that generally is the language that is used for business. Go back up.
Okay.
We have not chosen a home church as of yet, but we did have a beautiful subscriber actually take us up on our offer last week and sent us an invitation to their church, the Pace Setter Church. And we actually surprised her and showed up. Unfortunately, she had decided, I don't think she thought we were going to follow up so soon with her. And she was attending service by live stream that day, but she did connect with us. She was like, oh my gosh, you guys are there. It was a wonderful experience. We got to meet with Pastor TC, and we got to talk with her as well as one of the other ministers there. Very welcoming, very warming. We really enjoyed ourselves. And by all means, like we said, if you guys would like us to visit your church, we are looking for one. By all means, invite us, and I'm sure we can try to arrange to make it and come visit. Hi, Clement. How are you? We already did that one. Oh, Fandol Tibeti. Is that how you say it? Tibeti? I don't know, but I like her. I really enjoyed that show. That was nice. Do I feel safe here? Yeah, I do feel safe here. I think that you have to have street smarts. It's some things that, I am mindful of. Like if I'm going out and about marketing, I don't just, not being aware of my surroundings. It in some ways, although it's not as busy as New York streets, it kind of in some ways gives me a feel of New York that you just need to be on your toes. You need to be mindful of your surroundings. You need to watch what you're doing. Don't be giving out all sorts of information unnecessarily about yourself. But that's anywhere, right? Especially like we said, we're from Baltimore in the States. That's not a place that you're just be going willy-nilly around. Beauty says, Christian Family Church, Johannesburg, please come visit, also online. Okay. Christian, can you send me a message on Instagram so that when we try to visit, we will actually, can you highlight it for me? We'll actually, the Christian Family Church on there. Click it.
I took a screenshot of it.
We'll actually connect with you to let you know that we're planning to come. Just out of curiosity, if I plan to visit for a month, will 3K be sufficient to sustain me? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Is it how many people? How many people is it? Now, what I should ask you is, where do you want to stay? Because you can ball on a budget, and I mean, you can stay at elaborate places that have lots of things to do, resorts, what have you. So in terms of if you're doing general places like $100 and something US a month, you can. Or if we do Airbnb, anywhere from $60 to $100, $145 per.
Fish said just me.
Okay, then absolutely, that's doable. You may be budgeting that 30 days, but it's more than doable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then Fish, if you are wanting to come, so we actually thank you to all of you that are coming from the States, that are interested in our Joburg experience tours, as well as the virtual tours, or staying at the cottage if you need someone to host you, as well as to escort you around the city when you're here. We have had people that has contacted us and looking as early as the next couple of months to come out. So by all means, if you're interested, reach out to us at thealisagary@gmail.com. At Beauty. Oh yes, Beauty, please share the link. People are asking for your church's link. So by all means, please reach out to us. As always, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, guys, it's been an hour already. That time always goes so fast. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you have questions that I haven't been able to answer, please leave them in the comments. Reach out to us on Instagram, The Elisa Gary, or on our website, journeytoza.com. If you have not, please like this video in the next second. Let's get those likes up. Share the live stream. And by all means, let us know still if you would like to be a tour guide. We've already booked our schedule into, it does have a little bit of LA. Well, yeah, maybe, yeah. Mm-hmm. LA vibes in New York. You're right. Because NY is a little bit, that's a little gritty, but LA got some gritty spaces too. I've lived there, so yeah, you're right. But if we're already into mid next month already, the end of next month with recording for the tour guide series, and we're editing and making sure those videos are ready to go. But if you're interested, there's still time. Please message us, let us know your proposal. You will have to give us a copy of your ID, as well as kind of a layout of the experience that you would like to show us. For security purposes, we will not transport people in our personal vehicles, but we are able to meet you whatever that location is, or follow you, if you will, for our as advised by our security. So by all means, please reach out to us. We will get back in touch with you. I want to thank you guys again for the videos you post. They're inspiring and encouraging. Thank you so much, Will. With that, we are going to sign off, guys. We love you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, Kagizo.